We will be attempting to draw this tuck end box die line. So on the left side, you will see detailed the die line where the dimensions are all indicated. And then on the right side is the final outcome of how the final thing will appear. So instructions here on the top left side. So we'll create an artboard. There's A3 size. So this particular die line will fit everything nicely to a A3 size artboard. So eventually you will print this out, follow the die line to cut and fold to form the box. So this is a tuck end box. So you can see there are some details here. So this particular panel, panel 1 and panel 13 are slightly different. So each of them will have a different catchment to hold the box together. So in order for us to start to draw, we will have to be on the same page. So let's first, when we start Illustrator, I want you to hold your Shift, Option, and Command key, and then you click on Illustrator. So again, I'm on the Mac, so everything I say will be more for the Mac computers. So again, hold the Shift, Option, Command key and start up Illustrator. So what this will do is that it will reset its preference, and we will be having the same thing here. Okay, so let me just open up this Illustrator file where I've drawn this, so the details later on I can show you. So first, let's first create a new A3 size artboard. So you can go to File, New, and then we'll select one from the template. So that's has been set up, the preset. So you click on Print, and under the preset, you can expand to click on A3 size, and for dimension wise, let's change this to mm, and orientation will be a landscape. The rest of the setting you can leave it as default, and let's just click create. Okay, so so that we are together, so I want you to set up your workspace. So here, click on this icon, click on the Essential Classic. Okay, there is also a contextual menu that is always appearing depending on where you're clicking and what tools you're selected. So let's just get rid of this to get it out of the way so that you can see my screen clearer. So this is the contextual taskbar. So let's hide it. Okay, so the other thing that probably will clean it up is to remove these comments. We do not need this. Okay, so the other panels that we will need later on, we'll bring it up. Okay, so the other thing that in order for us to draw properly on Illustrator, this die line, there are a few things I want you to check is that you go to View, and right at the bottom, we usually should be working with Smart Guides on. So that's going to help us with alignment. Uh, and the thing that I want you to switch off is to snap to point and snap to glyph. Okay, so all this should be turned off because sometimes it might, once the more we draw on Illustrator, the more points we will have, and there will be too much snapping. So eventually it might not snap to the correct place. So let's off this. Okay. So I think we are all ready to start. Okay. So I assume that you already know some basic Illustrator and how the interface is. So we have the toolbox and the control menu here, and usually we will try to keep the properties open as we can access quite a lot of things with the properties panel. Okay, so first of all, before we actually start to draw, we want to create this reference, or this, or rather the line samples. Okay, so let's take a look close up. Okay, so you can see that there are a few lines, especially the first two, which is the cut line. Cut lines, let's set it as red, 0.3 point stroke, and it's a solid line. And then the fold line is blue in color, 0.3 point stroke size, and it will be a dashed line. Okay, so let's just create these two so that we can use them as reference later on. So use either way, whether you want to use a line, so you can easily draw two separate lines. Okay, so let me just zoom in. So your first one is your cut line. You can always type this down for your reference. Okay, so this one will be red in color. So we'll just use one of the swatch to denote this as a red. And importantly, you will set this as a 0.3 point. So if you turn on the ruler, let's turn on the ruler, just here, under view, rulers, show rulers. Okay, if you right click, the units are here. So usually for we have already set it up as mm, so the dimensions that we key in will be in mm if we don't key in the units. Okay, for stroke wise, usually they are in point size. Okay, so this is going to be 0.3, and this is the fold line will need to be 0.3 as well. 0.3, and we will give it a blue color. So I will just use this color. And also it needs to be dash line. So for dash line, the default is a 12 point. So you can see for 12 point, the spacing is actually a bit too large. So let's gonna make it smaller. So I'm gonna use 4 instead. And then you can see that it's a bit nearer to each other. So this is more ideal. So for the interest of this demonstration, I'm gonna make my lines thicker so that it's easier to see on screen. So I will have my fold line with 1 point and my cut line with 2 points. Okay, let's just put 1.5. Okay, so but you follow that whatever that is specified in the job sheet. So in this one, you just follow this. Okay. So after we have done the sample lines, we will use probably start with the cut line first. Okay. So what we want to tackle probably would be the center parts here. So before you actually do anything, you should actually study the dieline that has been, that whether you obtain from the internet or whether you get it from other means. So you have to study and try to look for similar parts so that you don't uh, end up drawing too many times. Okay, so for example, I can point this up. This particular box is a very, very simple box where a box actually made out of 6 sides. But there are other panels, like for example, this number 2 and number 4. These are dust flaps. Number 11 and number 12. These are dust flaps for the bottom panel. And we have additional flaps like number 1 and number 13. So these are additional flaps that helps to tuck in the boxes. We have also a flap that is for us to glue and hold the structure together to form the sides of the walls of the box. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna tackle the middle section here. So you can see 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so we're gonna tackle this. So let's start from number 5. Okay, so you can see that actually panels 6 and 8 is similar, 7 and 9 is similar. Okay, so let's start with 5 first. So we'll create one for panel 5. So look at the overall dimension. So if you can see the extension outwards here, this is actually 65 mm. And how tall is this, or how wide is this? you can project upwards and look for the dimension here. So we want to create a rectangle that is 15 by 65. So using the rectangle tool, you can use this rectangle tool, or the shortcut is M. So just click on anywhere on the artboard. Okay, you're going to have this pop-up window. So this is very important for you to have a precise dimension key out. So again, we're going to have 15 width, and the height we want is actually 65. Okay, so because I have already selected the line just now, so it has already adopted this look. Okay, so for example, if I want to adopt the look of the fold line, I can select that and use this. Let's say I draw a box, you will see that it adopt that look. Okay, in any case, if let's say that is a box, let's say I use a default color or default attributes, so I can draw. And if I want to adopt the look of this sample, or rather this cut line, we can use the eyedropper and then click on this, and this will be the look. Okay, so let me get rid of this first. So first of all, we want our first panel here. So again, this is 15. So this, the width is 15 followed by 65. Okay, let me just write it here, 15 by 65. Okay, so after this, usually the panels have similar sizes. For example, this height is 65. You can see that they are actually the same. Okay, 65 for this panel. So let me just quickly draw this, show you. So this panel is 65 in height. This panel is also 65 in height. Same for this panel, 65 in height. Okay, so we will now do the sixth panel, okay, which is 80 by 65. Okay, so what we can do is to actually click and drag, hold the Option key to duplicate this particular one. Okay, if not, the other way is to just select this, Command C, Command V. So copy and paste, okay, which is here. Command C, Command V to paste. So you don't have to worry about the alignment for now. We will use the alignment tool later on to align them together. So currently this is a wrong size. So for us to change it, we will use the transform. So go to the properties panel, so under transform, or the transform here, you can also change the figures here. So instead of 15, it will be 80, 80. Okay, so you can see that the size has changed. Okay, so this panel, it is the same as this panel in the properties panel. Okay, so again, I'm gonna duplicate. Okay, again, hold and click. So while you click and drag, you hold the Option key to duplicate another one. Okay, so this time round, this panel, is it the same size? So if you look at number 7, it's also 80 by 65. So it's actually the same. Okay, so this panel 5, 6, 7. So 6 and 7 is the same. Actually, if you look at panel 8 and 9, it is also the same. Okay, so I'm gonna just duplicate another 2 more this way. Okay, so I have the 5 panels done. So right now we need to align them. So click and select all 5 of them. So using the align, so under the properties panel, if you move down, you will see align. Okay, and there's a way to actually align them in the center this way. So now they are aligned. Okay, so in the first place, make sure you do not have any overlap. So that means you don't do this overlap. Okay, so it's important for you to actually space them out first. Okay, and then I'm gonna just align them this way. The other one is I want to get rid of the spaces in between so they are touching each other next to each other. Okay, so to do that, we need to have a key object. Okay, so you can see this selection has already been done. I want to select a key object. So let's say I want to use select this as a key object. You select this one more time. So you will see that there is another bolder selection. So that is a key object. So after you have done it, expand this alignment panel, and then you can here under distribution, distribute spacing, put 0 and click on this icon. Okay, you will see that the rest of the rectangle boxes will align with 0 spaces towards this key object. Okay, so that is how you align. Okay, so the 5 panels are done. Right now, we will need to do number 2, number 3, number 4, and eventually 1. So let's now tackle the top panel. Okay, so number 2 and number 4 is similar. So you can see that this looks like this, and this is similar, and it is flipped. Actually, a flip of this. Okay, so we actually just need one panel. Just create one panel for 2, and yeah. So let's find out the dimension. So we know that it's going to be 80 in width, but the height, if you look further down here, is indicated here 40. So we'll create a rectangle box. Again, you can use this to alter the size later on because this width is already 80. So you click hold option key and then change this to, sorry, the height to 40. Okay. So another quick way to align is because my smart guide is already on, I'm gonna hover over this. You will see the word anchor. You can easily just click and drag and make sure uh, it will align to this point automatically. Okay, so usually if you don't have a lot of things drawn, this works very, very well. Okay, however, I will encourage you another method, which is to hold the command key when you do that. Okay, so let me do that one more time. So you hover over to this corner, click and drag. Okay, so this is following your cursor, right? So I want you to hold the command key. So when you hold the command key, you will realize that when you come near to a particular and another anchor point, it will snap to it very, very fast. Okay, so that is the other alignment done. So right now we need to draw panel number 3. Panel number 3 is 80 by 80. So it's a square. Okay, so again, I'm going to utilize this to duplicate, change this to 80, okay, and come to the anchor point, hold the command key, and then it will snap in place. Okay, let me just create more space above. Okay, and then one more panel on the top here. Okay, let's just ignore the detail of 79 for now. We'll just create a 80 by 18. Okay, so that is the main segments, 80 by 18. So again, I'm going to duplicate that. So because I know the width is 80, then the height I will change to 18. So you will change, again, come to the anchor point, hold the command key, and it will snap there. Okay, so for panel number 4, again, we will not draw because there are details like this slope we haven't drawn yet. So eventually we will draw number 2 panel. It will flip over for the 4. Okay, so that is done. Let's move down to the bottom segments. So we have segment number 10, 11, 12, and 13. So again, if you look at similarity, 11 and 12 is similar. So we just need to draw one, eventually will flip for the other side, which is this is the dust panel. Okay. So let's draw 10 first. So look at the main dimension. So this is 80 and 80. Okay, so again, I know this is actually the dimension 80 by 80. I'm going to duplicate this one and snap it in place. Same for this. Hold the command key. Sorry, make sure you click the anchor first, click and drag, and then hold the command key, and that will snap in place. So let me just double check. So this is 18, and actually it's not 79 yet. We'll do the details later. Okay, so the overall is still the 80. Okay, so later on we'll zoom in to look at the details. So one more panel here, which is 40 and 80. So it's quite similar to the top one. So same, I actually can duplicate this and use it. Okay, so the main parts are actually done and aligned in place. Okay, so we're going to attempt to now do the details. So again, I think let's start from the top. Okay, so the top here, let's zoom in to look at the details. So for packaging design, usually there are certain kind of symmetry. So if you look at this dimension, is actually 79 and not 80. Okay, so it's slightly inside a bit. Okay, so we're gonna draw a 79 instead. Okay, and important for you to take note that it is on both sides. So you can see the difference between 79 and 80 is 1. So this is actually 0.5 here, 0.5 here. Okay, so this is quite easily done. So we just need to select this, and under the transform, make sure you set your reference point in the center. It can be this top one, this center one, or at the one at the bottom. So instead of 80, we'll change this to 79 and enter. Okay, so you can see that it's a bit of indent in. Okay, so that panel is done. Right now, we need to do this rounded corner. So this rounded corner, even though it's not indicated here, you need to look at the dimensions and look for similar ones, because sometimes if they input all the dimension, it is going to be very, very crowded. Okay, although it is not critical how accurate this needs to be, as long as it is a curve, it's going to aid for us to close the box. Okay, so if you look down, there is actually a indication here, which is R10. So R10 here is radius 10. Okay, we just need to make sure that we have a radius of 10 here. So similarly here, we're going to use the white arrow. So white arrow is direct selector. You click on one anchor point. So if you're going to click and drag, that will change your radius. Okay, so because we want to tackle both of this, let me undo that. I can click and select both anchor point. You will see that this circle will appear, the corner circle will appear. So if you click and drag both of this, it will apply to both sides. Of course, we want to be accurate as much as possible. So one way is to actually double click. So we'll enter 10 instead. So you realize that you only affect this because we only double click on that particular one. Okay, so now let me undo that. So in order for both sides to be affected, okay, the best way is under corner. So you can see at the control menu here, you can actually increase it to 10. This is one way. The other way is actually here at the properties panel. We'll change it to 10 like this instead. So that is done. That panel is done. Okay, so right now we're going to move on to panel number 2 to get this slope. Okay, so again, there's no details here, so you need to look for details that is similar. So you can see that it's similar here. So we need to create a reference point which is 65 away. Okay, so this line is actually 65 away. Okay, so from here, we'll create another box. Let's say we create another box, rectangle. So we'll put 65 instead. Height doesn't really matter. We'll just put a rough a number here. So what we'll do is we will align this here. So we know that the slope will start from this point. It will go all the way down to the end, just like that. Okay. So one of the fast way is to use the direct selection and click and drag. While you drag, you hold the shift key and that is done. So this is one very, very quick way. Okay. As we proceed further to do the other details for the other panel, you probably will want to work in isolation mode. Okay, so I'm gonna double click to go into this rectangle, double click. So once I'm inside, I know I'm in isolation when you see this thing change. Okay, so right now, whatever I do will only affect this particular group or this particular component that I have entered into isolation. So the rest is I cannot, the other things are dimmed away, so I cannot select them. Okay, so let's just select this rectangle again. You can again use the direct selection, click this anchor point, hold the shift key, and then you can drag. That is one way. The other way is to use the pen tool. You can click plus, so click and hold. You can add an anchor point, come to roll over to this point. You will see the word intersect. Because my smart guide is on, I will click, and I can also click minus to delete this point. So that is another way to quickly get this slope. Okay, so to get out of the isolation, you can click, okay, to get out. If not, you can press the escape key as well. Okay, so once I've done a drawing, I do not need that reference box, so I can actually throw that away. Okay, so I am not going to duplicate the other side yet, because later on we need to clean up the die line to introduce the fold line. Okay, so if you look at the final outcome, so all this will need to be converted later on. So I do not want to waste my time to draw and then do the changes later on. Okay, so let's just do the main parts. Okay, coming down to the center segment, working left towards right. Okay, so this panel is 15-degree angle down. Okay, then the bottom one will be 15-degree from here. Okay, so what I want to do again, you probably can work in isolation mode as well. So double click to go inside. So I'm going to use a line tool to draw a line or a segment. Then and deselect and select. Okay, so we'll press R for rotate. Okay, if not, you can use this. The rotate tool is here. Press R and press enter. Okay, you will have this pop-up menu or dialog box for you to enter precisely what angle you want. Okay, so since I've already drawn this horizontally, I want it to be turned at a 15-degree angle. So I type 15. Nothing is shown yet because the cursor is still inside. So you need to press the tab key on your keyboard to accept this number, and you will see the preview. Okay, of course, your preview needs to be checked. So you will see this happening. Then if it's rotating in the correct way, you can OK. Sometimes it's rotating the other side. Okay, you probably might put minus 15 instead of 15. Okay, probably I will demo for the other side. Okay, so let's just OK with this. So change to a selection tool. I deselect and I select from the anchor and make sure that I snap to this particular end where the slope starts. Okay, so again, with this, I hold the plus, I press plus, and then hover over to see the word intersect to add an anchor point. Okay, and then I press minus to delete an anchor point. So that is the other side done. Okay. So one way, so if you remove this line, I don't have to throw it away because this is actually 15 degree. It's just that for the bottom one, it needs to slope the other side. So I can easily use the this reflection, okay, to flip it. So right now it's on the other side. Again, I'm gonna snap it in place. Okay, press plus, hover over, press minus, and delete. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so let's add in the details for panel 6, which is this um, little groove. This is actually for your fingers to go and hold and open up the box easily. Okay, so you can see that the details indicated that the center of this arc is here, which is 2 mm above. Okay, so I need to draw a reference point. I also need to draw a center reference point. Okay, so I'm going to just use a line tool. Okay, and I want to align it in the center. Of course, you can utilize the smart guide to try to find the center, but I think sometimes that is a bit risky. Okay, so I'm going to select both the line and this particular rectangle, and I'm going to make this rectangle the key object. Okay, so I'm just going to align here horizontally. So what I've done is that the alignment will listen to the key object. So it will align to the key object by aligning center, which is what I've done. Okay. So after that, I need to create a box that is 2 mm away. So let me just use the rectangle tool. Shortcut, if you can remember, all these are very basic. So if you can remember M, so if you hover over, you see the shortcut is here, M. Okay, just click once. I'm going to create a square, which is 2 by 2. Okay, then after that, use the selection tool, and then I'm gonna drag to this particular point. So this point, let me just change my tool and then I'll show you. So this point here, that is where I will start. That is the center of the arc or the circle, okay, which is we are supposed to create a radius 9. Okay, so from here, using the ellipse tool, from here, make sure the anchor word appear, because then I know that I'm starting from here. You click and drag, okay, but we want to draw in the center. So I hold the Option key, I hold the Shift key to constrain, okay. Currently, I'm unable to just click and drag, okay. That is not possible to be accurate, okay. So you can roughly draw that size first, okay, and then we're going to transform it. So click on the center as a reference point, and then make sure you lock this. I mean, you don't really need to lock it. You can just change the value here. Okay. So I'm gonna change it to 18, not 9, but 18. Okay. So if you take a look, radius is only one part here. So in order for you to have the whole diameter, you need to times 2 of this. So 9 times 2. Okay. So if you don't have a calculator, you can use this to help you. So you just press 9 and press asterisk on the keyboard 2. Okay, and then you can press the tab key or enter. Okay, so since it's supposed to be a circle, you can see it already tabulate the number for you, which is 18. Then straight away come here and put 18 and enter. So this is the circle that you are supposed to have. Okay, so let's create that indent inside. Okay, so we're gonna use that use the shape builder tool to help you get the indent. Okay, so I'm already done with all this. I actually can get rid of this. So make sure both of this is selected using the shape builder tool, which is Shift M, which is here. Okay, you can easily remove. So in order for you to remove, you need to hold. You can see the cursor have an arrow with a plus. So right now we want to remove. So to remove, you need to hold the Option key, and then you see the cursor change from plus to minus. So you just need to draw and remove like that. Okay, so that is to remove that segment. All right, so I'm done with panel 6. Panel 7, nothing to do. Panel 8, there's going to be a window. So sometimes for packaging design, we have a window is good because it allows the view or the person to be able to see the contents inside the box, or maybe it's a tea leaves, or maybe it's whatever objects inside. They have a rough idea of the content inside the box. Okay, so the details of the box is important, so you need to make sure you understand. So the box, or rather the window, is 60 by 25. Okay, and also you need to check where is the placement of this window. Currently it's indicated it's going to be 15. Okay, let's just draw the window box first. Okay, so 60 by 25. Okay, so I'm gonna select this so it adopts that look using the M for rectangle here. Click once. I'll put 60 by 25. Okay, so currently this is, again, it needs to be symmetrical usually, but not always all the time. But if you want to follow the drawing, you can, just to play safe, follow the dimension. So it's indicated this is 10 in width and then 15 in height. Okay, so you can create another rectangle, 10 in width, 15 in height here. Okay, again, use the selection tool, roll over the anchor, click and hold the command key, it will snap in place. Okay, again, this will be here to help you guide. So as long as, I missed that now. So here, okay. So you can see this touching the line very well, and that touching very well. So you can remove this. Okay. So there's one thing that I forgot to mention, which is outline mode. Outline mode is very important, especially when we do alignment, for us to check whether the lines are meeting up each other. Okay. So it is under view, under here, outline. Okay. So if you click, if you can remember, the shortcut is Command Y. So in outline mode, you will see only thin lines. Okay, so if let's say things are not aligned, okay, so this is a very good time for you to actually zoom in and look at. So if the lines are not aligned, so you might see this. Okay, I just do a shift and then show you. Okay, so you need to be very sensitive. So going into outline mode help you to check whether your lines or your shapes are lining up against each other. Okay. So if you can memorize the shortcut, would be very good. Command Y, again, it is in this location. Okay, so I am done with this panel. So let's just visit the drawing again. So all this, nothing to do. And I think we can proceed to go down to this difficult one, which is panel number 13. So let's take a look at the detail first. Okay, so panel 13 is actually 79 in width and not 80. Okay, so that we have already done in panel 1 above here. Okay, so it is very easily done. Okay, the other thing we need to take a look is the details here. Okay, later on we will do that. Okay, so let's just tackle 79 and also change the radius to 10. Okay, so for 13, this is panel 13. Change it to 79. Okay, and then the radius, again, you need to use the white arrow, which is your direct selection. Select these two anchor points. In the properties panel, you will see corners. So we were going to change this to 10. Is it 10? Yes, it's radius 10. Okay, so that is done. Okay, so the other thing that we need to do is to add in the cuts here, the details of the cuts. Okay, so the cut happens from here. So this particular dimension actually follows 80. So this from 80 onwards, we're gonna have one width of 8 and then a depth of 2 inwards. Okay, so we can easily just draw a box that's 8 by 2. Okay, and then we're gonna align this right at the end. Again, if you need to go to outline mode, Command Y to check the alignment, please do so. Okay, so same for the other side. So let me just duplicate this part. Okay, and probably now we can add some details of the fold line, which is this, because we are already doing the details of this. Okay, so just take note what is the offset. Okay, so from here 80, this is correct, and this blue line or blue dotted fold line is supposed to be in the middle, which is 1 mm away. Okay, so it will move down 1 mm. Okay, so there are a few boxes here. This is the main segment. You can see that is this line here, and the bottom one also have this same line. So they are actually overlapping each other. Okay, so I'm going to remove one side. Okay, so I'm going to work in isolation. Okay, so again, double click to go into isolation. You can easily use the direct selection tool, click and drag. So it select this segment and hit the delete key. It will remove that segment. Okay, so I can double click to get out again. So here we need to zoom in. I want to get rid of this line. I do not need that line from the 8 by 2 box. Okay, so I can again use direct selection. I can come here, delete, come here, delete. Okay, so that is done. Okay, the last one that I need to get rid of is this bottom panel here. Okay, so again, double click to go in. So I can remove using direct selection tool, click and drag, cut away. I want to cut it away because later on I want the same position. Okay, so let me cut it first. So that segment is gone. So press escape key to get out of isolation. Okay, go back, selection tool, and now I can paste in front. So this one must be in the same position. So in order for me to adopt the look, okay, so let me just paste a sample here. Select this line that I paste, use the eyedropper, press I for eyedropper, and click on the look. Okay, if you look carefully, this line is actually longer, so I need to follow exactly. Okay, do not have extra bits, so I'm going to click and drag, click and drag. Okay, so that is done. This line is correct. However, it's not at the correct position. Okay, so you need to move it 1 mm downwards. Okay, so let's just move this downwards. We can draw another rectangle. Let me just take on the look of the red one. Press M for rectangle. Click 1 and 1. So this is a square of 1 mm away. So I will align it downwards and then shift and hold the shift key just to shift it up and offset it. Then I can delete that away. Okay. So just to check, okay, you can see there is a bit of overlap here as well. So rightfully, let me double click inside. I do not need this part. I just need this in there. Okay. So you probably will say, you are right to say that, hey, actually this is the same. I do not need to draw both sides. Actually, I can just draw one side. I flip it. Okay, this is actually the same. Okay, again, go into outline mode and check. You can see there are no gaps. Okay, everything is touching everything. Okay, so that is done. Okay, so make sure you save your work often, because sometimes Illustrator do crash. So let's just save it to here. Let me just find a location to save. Okay, so this is my practice, or rather I'll call it demo for now. Okay, let's just save as the native Illustrator file. Okay, so this panel is done together with a fold line that is really done. Later on, we need to change some lines to be fold line. So we also will do that later. Okay, so this panel, this is actually panel number 11. So you will see that there are a lot of details here. So don't panic. You must try to work one thing at one time and then try to break it down. Okay. So probably let's just look at some details. Let's work again from left to right. We have this line that is actually 3 mm away from the main line, and there's a 45 degrees cut here. Okay, so probably we'll draw a line using the line segment tool. Click and drag and hold the shift key. So all these will constrain to a 45 degrees. Okay. Shift key usually constrain 90 degrees, 0 degrees. So 45 degrees is also one of them. So I'm going to just shift this to the corner as a reference. Okay. So I'm going to go in, double click to go into isolation. Okay. So there's going to be a line that is 3 mm away. So I can, many ways to draw. One way is to draw this, create another rectangle. Probably I want a longer one as reference. So this, I will shift here. You have to make sure that it aligns. Okay. So that is okay. Let me do that one more time. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna change this to 50 and a height. So width is 3 and 50. Okay. 50 is not really what we want, but we just want it longer so that we can take reference. Okay. So if you take a look, this is what we should try to get. We will have one point here, another point here where it is 45 degrees downwards, and then another point here which is 3 mm away. Okay, so to do that, let's go into isolation for this rectangle. Okay, so I'm gonna click plus to add an anchor point, so make sure you hover here. Here we cannot add, right? So you add another anchor point. So let's just click and drag. This one we actually do not need. Press minus for delete an anchor point tool. Okay, so it's here under delete anchor point tool and remove that point. So that is done. So let's get out of isolation. Can remove all this unnecessary. Okay, next is the details here. Okay, so you can see, wow, so many numbers. Okay, so do it bit by bit. So let's start from the top. So you can see that there is this line that is 6, okay, 6 in mm, and then 2 mm away. So a good rule is that whatever figure is here, try to draw boxes with these numbers. Okay, so 6 and 2, we can have the first box or rectangle done. So width is 2, height is 6. Okay, so again, we're gonna align here, align it to the corner. Okay, and the other one is 8. So 8, I need to have 8 here for this particular point. Okay, so maybe I draw another rectangle that's 8 by 8 square as a reference. Okay, so it's gonna come here, flush there. Okay, so those shapes are done as reference. So I'm gonna double click again to go into this rectangle or the shape that I'm altering. Click plus. So let's join here. I need another one here for that part. So the last one is this 65, which I haven't draw. So maybe let me draw this. So 65 from here. Okay. So I need to draw maybe a width of 65 and 10. This for reference. So I'm going to shift this here and go into isolation, direct selection, click and drag. So there you have it. This is 65. Okay. Then I can get rid of this, this, and this. Okay. So almost there. Okay. So I know that this eventually I will duplicate and flip for the other side. Okay. Same for this last flat. I will flip for the other side. Okay. So the details are done. So right now we need to convert some of these cut lines to fold lines. Okay. So you need to have all these indication very, very clear, because eventually for packaging design, when you draw your die line, you will send the file to the printers and then they will prepare the correct kind of lines, or rather cut for the packaging. Okay, so if you don't prepare them correctly, then it will be messed up. Okay, so we need to follow. If it's a blue dotted line, we'll follow blue dotted line. Okay, so this we need to. Okay, so let's just concentrate on doing the center portion first. Okay, so here we will have a sample for us to take note. So here, this shape, you will see two overlapping, right? So we only just need one of them. Okay, so let me just go into isolation, use the selection tool. I'm gonna delete one. Okay, so I need to change one to this one inside to be the blue one. Okay, so I can double click, direct selection, select, cut it away. Okay, get out of isolation, and then paste in front, and then use the eyedropper to get the look of the line. So that part is done. Okay, moving to this center one. Okay, so you can see that when I get rid of this, the inside segment still stay, right? So I can actually easily delete that away. Okay, so I just need to change this line, this line, this line, this line into the dotted line. Okay, so let's check this one. Okay, okay, double click, selection tool, direct selection tool A, click and drag, Command X to cut. Okay, get out of isolation, paste in front, I for eyedropper, adopt the look. That's it. Okay, let me get rid of that. So how about the bottom one? Okay, so the bottom one, this one needs to be remove. So go into isolation, direct selection tool, select, delete one away. Okay, then get out of isolation. You'll see that now these are all single line. Okay, so the center one more here is on its own, so I can easily just use the eyedropper to adopt the loop. Okay, now I'm left with this. Okay, again, double click, go isolation, selection tool, select, Command X to cut, get out of isolation. So if you can memorize all this shortcut, paste in front, Command F, okay, eyedropper I, and adopt the loop. Okay, so gonna do some more here. Okay, again, I need this line. Okay, so double click, select, cut, paste in front, eyedropper, adopt the loop. Okay, then this line. Okay, get rid of one of them. Okay, so double click. Let's get rid of one first from here, and then this one. You will notice that I always click and drag out to take a look which shape does it belong to, or which part, which line it belongs to. Okay, so I'm gonna double click A for direct selection, click and select, Command X to get rid, get out of isolation, Command F, eyedropper, and adopt the look. Okay, so left this one, double click, delete. Okay, this line. Okay, so this line is on its own, just adopt the look. Okay, then this one. Okay, so this one, you know, this is narrower than this. This is 80, this is 78. Okay, so make sure you get rid of the correct one. So since 78 is smaller, we'll use this one. Okay, again, direct selection, select the segment, delete it away, get out of isolation. Now left with this one. Okay, so this is the tricky part. Okay, actually we need that small little slot there for the cut. Okay, so let's just do it this way. We're gonna change this to a fold line. So I'm gonna use the direct selection, select this, cut, and then paste in place, adopt the look. Okay, so it looks like that. Okay, but so this you have to be careful because this is supposed to be here. Okay, the other side also, it needs to be inside. Okay, so this will need to join across. So you can either associate to this line or this line. Okay, so let me just break them apart so that you can see. So it can be here, you do that groove, or you do this. Sorry, not that one. That means this one, and this one. Okay, so either this or this. Okay, so let me undo first. Okay, because they are so near, you can't really see. So again, work in isolation. I'm gonna use this one. Okay, I think this one. Okay, let's use this one. Double click. Using pen tool, click on the end, one anchor, and then click on this end. Okay, and then you can stop the line by this way. Okay, so if you go to outline mode, Command Y, you'll see it's very clean. Okay, same for the other side. So again, I'm gonna stick on this. So double click, go to isolation, click on this end, hold the shift key, click on another anchor point here. Okay, once you are done, press escape. Okay, and then escape. Okay, so you can change to selection tool. So that is done. So you can see that there's a little notch at the end here. Okay, so that part is done. So this segment, which is here, supposed to be a full line. So again, let's shift this up and check. Okay. So this particular part is supposed to be a line on its own. Okay. So again, double click, use. Okay, so this one is a bit tricky, because you can see this is three-sided. Okay, I'm just gonna shift it out so that you can see. If I'm gonna go into isolation like this, using direct selector, select, cut it, you will notice there is one anchor point that is left there. So you need to be very, very careful in the method that you remove certain segment. So this is actually not good. Okay, so let me undo that. Okay, so this is not a good way. So in order for it to do correctly, not to have those empty anchor point, okay, the other tool I would like to introduce is the cut tool. C for cut, or rather scissors. Okay, so here is the cut tool. So you need to select the line first. Using the cut tool, you roll over. So that is how you cut a line. Okay, make sure again, let me do that again. So when you press C for scissors, you roll over, make sure you see the word anchor, and then you click. Okay, so now this is on its own. So again, I'm gonna adopt that look. So the bottom one also, I need one cut here. So let's follow this and then adopt the loop. Okay, so actually I just need to duplicate this part, flip it, okay, and then join it here. Okay, so notice that there is a double line here as well. So I actually do not need that. So let me go into isolation, use selection tool, the white arrow, select this anchor point and delete it away. Okay, same for the other side here. Okay, I also don't really need this. Okay, and get rid of that. Okay, so almost done. I have one more here at the bottom. So again, make sure it is here. If I get rid, I still have three sides, so it's okay. So double click, go in, white arrow, select, cut, come out isolation, paste in place, in front, adopt the look of the fold line, and that's it. Okay, so now left is to duplicate this. So again, duplicate is to click and drag, and then hold the Option key to duplicate another copy. So I'm going to flip this around and then make sure this touches the end. So that is done. Okay, so let's do a Command 0. So view everything here, fit artboard to window. Okay, so we are actually done with all the fold lines and the cut line. Okay, so a bit of organization. So using the layers, let's create one that is for the fold line. Okay, and another one for your cut line. Okay, so um so a lot of these things are already drawn in one layer. Okay, maybe I will just use this as a cut line instead. Okay, then I can reserve this for the bleed later on. Okay, I'll reserve this later. So let me switch that off. Okay, so most of these line are in the cut line, which is correct, but the fold line is not. Okay, so I will just select, okay, and then shift this so that it goes to the fold line. Okay, So a good way is to actually switch off this. So anything you throw into or you move into this fold line layer, it will disappear. So I'm gonna do that. Probably hold the shift key and do multiple selection. Okay. And then click and drag this square into this fold line. They will all disappear. So wherever that's outstanding are not there yet. Okay, let me just fold it in. Okay, so let's just check. So those are the fold lines and then the cut lines. Okay. So later on, because we need to eventually we need to center it to the artboard. Okay, so let's just select and group them first. Command G to group. Okay, and then all these lines again. I think all this we can shift it away. We don't really need it. So all this again, group it together. Okay, so cut line, fold lines, our group. Okay, so right now we are gonna do the bleed. So indicated in the instructions that we need to have a bleed of 3 mm. So the bleed is tricky. Okay, so what you do is you actually select both the fold line and the cut line, copy it. So copy, okay, create a bleed which is here. So let me hide the rest and paste in place. Okay, make sure it's visible. Okay, and then place in front. Okay, it's gonna paste in the exact place. Okay, there's also because I grouped them initially. Okay, so there are two groups. So the fold line and the cut line. Okay, so I'm gonna select them and ungroup so that they are all individual. Okay, you can do this a couple of times to ensure that they are individual lines. Okay, so bleed. Probably okay. Probably I'll get rid of this first. So I'll do a multiple selection of all the lines that they are all individual lines. You can see that they are separated. Okay, so select them all using the shape builder tool. Okay, which is this. Oh, sorry. Shape builder tool. This one. Okay, you can hover over the different segment and combine them. So you click and drag, you combine the different segments together. Okay, so then you will have everything unified into one shape. Okay, so all you need to do is go to, while this is still selected, okay, go to object, go to path and offset path with 3 mm. So make sure you have 3, and you can always preview it and okay. Okay, so you don't really need the one inside anymore. So this bleed margin is for you to take note of how much you need to bleed your artwork out in order for it to be safer. Okay, so it actually depends on your design, um, because some panels might be a different color. So this margin actually you can also convert it into a smart uh, into a guide. Okay, you can convert it into a guide, like make guides, so that actually becomes like a reference for you, so things needs to be there. Okay, so the one inside you can actually throw it away if you want to, this way. Okay, oops. But sometimes we do want this shape. Okay, so for now I will not convert it to a smart guide. So I'm just gonna release the guide. So it is a shape. Okay, so I'm gonna adopt the look. So I'm just gonna give it a color with no stroke. Okay, and bring out the rest of the elements just to check. Okay, so that is done. Rightfully, here the window, we don't need to bleed everything. So if you want to, let's copy this rectangle. Let's just copy first, hide this, and then go to bleed, paste in place in front. So this needs to offset. Go to object, path, and offset 3 mm. Again, you can see a preview. It becomes smaller, right? Okay, so this smaller one is supposed to be white. Okay, and this line you can delete it away. Okay, so if I bring up the rest, oh, I delete the wrong one. Oops. In fact, I think I offset wrongly. It should be offset minus. Okay, let me do that again. So this is the original. So this is, you paste the rectangle, go to object, path, offset. So it's important for you to turn on the preview so that you know what is the change. Huh? So actually, instead of 3, I need to do -3 so that it offsets inside. Okay, I want it inside. So it should be filled with white and then no stroke. Okay, so after that, I can delete the shape and bring back. Okay, so white is supposed to be non-printed things. Okay, the other parts that needs to have white is more of the glue area. Okay, so if you look at this part, the glue area actually should not have any print. Okay, because if you have print, maybe it will not glue that well. Okay, so you probably want, we talk about glue area later on, but we will just offset it first. We can lock it. Let's draw a new layer. Using the pen tool, we can follow this shape. Okay. This one don't really need to be super accurate. I'm gonna offset this. Let's say -2. Let's do a preview. Okay, that's okay. And then fill it with white. So that is my blocker. Okay, something for me to block. Okay. So same thing with this blocker. I will shift it up to here. Okay. So you should not have any design here. No design here. Okay. So I'm gonna have one more layer that is for glue area. Okay, glue area. Yeah, you need to indicate this to your printer so that they know which area is supposed to be glued on. So you can easily do this with with a line. So let me just use the pen tool. Okay, with a line like this. Again, this one can be a bit rough. No fill. I want a stroke and black color. Okay, it's below the block, so it has to be above. So I'm gonna duplicate one more here. Okay, then select both these lines. So I'm gonna use the blend tool. You can right click and go to, okay, you can't blend it here. Okay, yeah, you go to the object. So make sure you select two of this line, go to object, blend, and make blend. Okay, so it depends on your previous setting. I think by default, if you have reset the preference with me, you should get the same result. Okay, if not, you can change the blend option. You can double click this. So currently you can specify the number of steps. Okay, let's say you don't want so many. You can reduce it down and then okay. So that is your glue area done. Okay. So glue area, blocker, maybe you want to block to group together, fold line, cut line, and lastly the bleed. Okay, so to finish up the segment, I want to center it. Okay, it's always a good practice to center your artwork to the center of your artboard. Okay, um, because sometimes packaging design we have two-sided printing. So in order to make sure your alignment is clean, you probably want to align it to the center of the artboard. Okay, so for now, even though I have various components and they are I mean they are in different layers. Okay, I want to group them. So that's the reason why individually I have their own group. Okay, later on I will need to separate them again. Okay, so let me group them together and then align to the artboard center and center. Okay, then after that I will ungroup. Okay, so fold line goes to fold line. Oh, sorry, that was the cut line. So bleed goes to bleed. Cut line goes to cut line. Then block goes to block layer. So everything, and then there's your bleed. Okay, no, my fold line is not correct yet. Fold goes to fold. Okay, so just on and off to check. So that is done. Okay, so all you need to do now, before the design work, you probably want to specify certain job specification, like this is tab box, tab and box, and whatever project name. Okay, so later on, whether you want to leave your name and then you print out, your printer will know that this belongs to you. Okay, so remember to add in project specs or details here. Okay, let me blow it up. Okay, so it could be also like maybe front design, and then you have another artboard that is for the back design. Okay, so for example, we are not talking about design work now. Okay, so for example, you have your artboard, you can duplicate. Okay, so this is back design. Actually, there's no really back, probably the other side. So yeah, so doing a mock-up for your printer is important. Okay, so you need to select and probably do a flip. Okay, yeah, so your inside could be a different color for example. Okay, and then yeah, after you have determined or drawn out the die line, the next important step is actually to do a mock-up, an empty mock-up or blank one before you actually design. And just to print it out, um, probably we tackle one side first, okay, and then get it printed so you can cut, fold, and then see whether the structure works. Okay, so this is the end. Thank you very much.